Planned Parenthood itself says it takes 10 to 20 minutes to literally dismember that child. Then there's the shots in the heart. There's a group called late-term abortion and a doctor right here in this area that on perfectly healthy babies gives them cardiac sticks with either feticide poison or a burst of air which kills the unborn child. So it is not healthy for children, and we know for a fact it is not healthy for women either.
I mean, that was so radical, so insane.
Defund Planned Parenthood! No compromise! Defund Planned Parenthood! No compromise!
Let's tell Harry Reid! Harry Reid wants to take the social issues out of the budget. That's what we stand for, Harry Reid. Take the funding of the criminal syndicate Planned Parenthood out of the budget.
The group's spokesman, and no, I won't do him the honor of saying his name, said, "We are simply exposing the fact that Senator Reid has blood on his hands, that he is willing to collaborate with a criminal syndicate, Planned Parenthood." I would like to be able to rewrite that person's understanding of Planned Parenthood, but the members of that group live beyond the reach of reason. They are zealots, and they are few, but they are powerful. There are only 5 of them. 5. But their voices are controlling the budget negotiations conducted by the President of the United States.
The fact of the matter is, people in this country have a very high opinion of Planned Parenthood. Again, 1 in 5 women have been to Planned Parenthood at some point in their lifetime. We are a community institution. And so we've been very encouraged, not only Democratic support, Republican support, all across the country. And I think that also folks in the progressive community saw what happened to Acorn and are really have taken notice and said, we will not let this happen to another institution that is so vital to the healthcare women in America. So we've been very, very encouraged. And I think the truth will out here on Live Action. I think these kinds of deceptive tactics, these kind of faked up videos, they only work for so long, and I will put our healthcare record up against any organization in America for providing high quality, affordable care to millions of women who need us.
They want to stop federal funding of abortion. They forget to mention that there is no federal funding of abortion.
One of the things that's troubling is that people see a Natalie Portman or some other Hollywood starlet who boast of, hey, look, you know, we're having children. We're not married, but we're having these children and they're doing just fine. But there aren't really a lot of single moms out there who are making millions of dollars every year for being in a movie. And I think it gives a distorted image that, yes, not everybody hires nannies and caretakers and nurses. Most single moms are very poor, uneducated, can't get a job, and if it weren't for government assistance, their kids would be starving to death and never have health care. And that's the story that we're not seeing, and it's unfortunate that we glorify and glamorize the idea of out-of-children wedlock.
But he's absolutely wrong to suggest that most of us, and you know, I was a single mother for most of my daughter's life, that most of us are uneducated, poor. In fact, when you look at the data show that single moms certainly have a set of restrictions and difficulties, but our children and our lives are not the scourge on American culture, values, you know, ethics, morals that you heard sort of emerging in that Huckabee narrative. You know, this has been an ongoing debate about the question of marriage really for going on 100 years now in this country. But let's just point out that every time we have made the world a more equal place for women, in other words, when women could have their own property, when women could go to the same universities as men, when women could earn the same income for the same jobs as men, each time that we've seen more equality for women, we've also seen women increasingly opting out of marriage, either through divorce or by delaying marriage. So what that means, from my perspective, is that marriage seems to be a troubling institution if people with a state of equality don't opt into it. what we want to do then is take a good hard look at marriage, not at denouncing those who, in a state of relative equality, make different kinds of choices.
An issue, though, I want to talk to you a little bit about this.
All right.
I think it's become, because I too am pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice. Do you understand what I say when I mean that?
Well, I'm pro-responsible choice.
Right.
You know, there's choice to abstain, choice to do contraception.
Is there
all
any
kinds
reason
of good
at all?
choices.
Is there any reason at all for an abortion?
Not in my book.
So in others, rape and incest would not be something?
You know, I'm a Christian.
Right.
And I believe that God has a plan and a purpose for each one of our lives, and that He can intercede in all kinds of situations, and we need to have a little faith in many things.
You know, if you got raped, it was part of God's plan. Now, the rest of the media won't tell you that because that's impolite, right? And they don't want to offend religious people, etc. I mean, they look at this and go, whoa, that's crazy. And everybody points out, really, you're not going to let people who got raped or who were victims of incest get an abortion? That's crazy, right? But I think the second part of the statement is crazier. It's part of God's plan that your dad or your uncle or whoever molest you and impregnate you. And so you should just have that baby because that's the cards that God dealt you. A sad day for you. That is horribly cruel.
What they want to do is expand restrictions on funding for the first time into tax policy. Right now, under current law, we have the Hyde Amendment, which every year prevents federal funds from being used for abortion, except for in the cases of rape, incest, or the life of the mother. I don't like the Hyde Amendment. Lots of people don't like the Hyde Amendment, but it's the law. This bill, however, goes far beyond current law. Now my colleagues across the aisle want to expand these restrictions and make sure that individuals and businesses can't get complete women's health care in their health insurance with their own money without paying for a tax increase. Businesses who right now get tax relief for having full health insurance now would not be able to get it. Let me say this again. At a time when everybody in this House, certainly everybody on the other side of the aisle, is saying we can't raise taxes, the leadership of this House is supporting raising taxes to advance a social policy. I don't think, Madam Speaker, that this was in the Republican pledge to America.
I ask members to read this book, Unplanned, and realize the scandal of the killing of these unborn children and calling it choice. Mr. Speaker, there is nothing whatsoever benign or caring or generous or just or compassionate or nurturing about abortion. Earlier, one of our colleagues called abortion healthy for the child. Abortion dismembers children, piece to piece. Planned Parenthood's own fact sheet talks about D&E abortions done in second trimester, during the second trimester period. Have you ever seen what a D&E is? The doctor goes in with forceps and this device and literally hacks that baby to death.
I am really stunned, and I am angry as a woman that we have come to this after weeks of negotiating on numbers, where we have a principle and agreement on numbers, that there are those in the Republican Party in the House who are willing to shut down the government, take people's paychecks away from them, because they want to deny women access to health care in this country. Every woman and every man in this country ought to be saying, what are you doing? They want a rider in a bill that says that women can't get access to cancer screening, can't get advice on family planning, can't get access to basic health care that women need. It is unbelievable to me that the United States of America is debating this issue at a time when our economy is hurting and people are worried about their paychecks. That's not what we should be debating today. And it is stunning to me as a woman that that's what they want today. These people came into power in the House by talking about how they were going to get jobs back and get the economy going. They didn't come in saying they were going to eliminate Planned Parenthood and access to our young women's ability to get health care. I heard from a young woman named Maggie who, at a very young age, 18, left a very abusive home situation. She had cancer, cervical cancer, running in her family, and only because she could get access through Planned Parenthood to cancer screenings was she able to get the care she needed. She is one story of hundreds of thousands. And that's what the House Republicans want to shut this government down about?
They want to stop federal funding of abortion. They forget to mention that there is no federal funding of abortion.
You know, I had really planned to speak about something else, but the gentleman from New Jersey has just put my stomach in knots. Because I'm one of those women he spoke about just now. I had a procedure at 17 weeks, pregnant with a child that had moved from the vagina into the cervix. And that procedure that you just talk about was a procedure that I endured. I lost a baby. But for you to stand on this floor and to suggest, as you have, that somehow this is a procedure that is either welcomed or done cavalierly or done without any thought is preposterous. To think that we are here tonight debating this issue when the American people, if they are listening, are scratching their heads and wondering, what does this have to do with me getting a job? What does this have to do with reducing the deficit? And the answer is nothing at all.
It just makes me cringe is the idea of the pregnancy help centers. Because these women are so, I mean, they're in such a terrible position, you know. They're just, they don't know what to do, right? I mean, they're feeling terrible. Their future is uncertain. It's a horrible place emotionally for a woman to be. So to go to this pregnancy help center and then have someone preach to you about how you're supposedly about to kill a life, it's just the worst thing. Guilt-tripping a woman into feeling like she's a terrible, disgusting person and that she should do whatever it takes to have that baby. And then, of course, this is the part that everyone forgets about. As soon as that woman does have the baby and does not have the means to take care of the baby, all of a sudden that's when the Republicans are like, what do you want? What do you want? You want us to pay for that? We're not going to pay for that. Why would we do that?
The exact opposite of pro-choice. They're sick people, man.